Star Wars, New Year's Day at 6:45, the epic space adventure. A story of rebellion, of good versus evil, and of courage.
I'm going to regret this.
The spectacular Star Wars, New Year's Day at 6:45 on TVS.
The Nova from Vauxhall, once driven, forever smitten.
Ordinary shampoo takes your hair to the first dimension. Conditioner takes it to the second. But now you can take it to a totally new dimension with New Dimension Shampoo. Feel the difference. Its unique molecular action leaves every strand of your hair looking so healthy and beautiful, you simply won't need a conditioner. New Dimension Shampoo. It takes your hair to another dimension.
Live in peace with your pipe, with Mellow, Virginia.
In his obsession to know the future, man has scoured the earth and searched the heavens. He has discovered patterns in the stars, patterns so complex that few souls are privy to their secret.
The future. Wise one, teach me. Shh.
You are Pisces.
No, Sagittarius.
Discover what the stars have in store for you in the Sunday Express 1988 horoscope supplement.
That's not you, is it?
I think I looked half bit, you see him.
What a wally! Still, he always chose a beer with taste. Personally, I think he looks rather groovy.
McEwans export, the taste that speaks for itself.
The weather forecast is going to be very cold, rain spreading through Nottingham, reaching Norwich during the night. Then, in the morning, bright sunshine everywhere, clear skies, warm front.
When you need retuning, tunes help you breathe more easily.
The Sweet Shop Superstores are smashing through the competition with sweets, sweets, more sweets, and only 3-piece sweets. Thousands in stock, all available for immediate delivery at unbeatable prices, and that's guaranteed. We'll even collect your old sweet and give you, yes, give you £100 part exchange, and that's a promise. The Sweet Shop Superstores, open 7 days a week and late till 8 Thursdays and Fridays. We lead, others follow.
Super value, super choice at the Sweet Shop Superstore.
Tonight at 9:45, prepare for the Dame Edna Christmas experience with special possums Roger Moore, Dennis Healy and Lulu.
Your hair is very, very pretty. Is it your own, isn't it?
And Sir Les Patterson has brought a possum of his own.
We don't need her type of glamour on this show anyway.
You need all the glamour you can get.
You make me feel a little bit restless. You do, Roger.
The Dame Edna Christmas experience, tonight at 9:45 on TVS.
And after the Dame Edna experience at 10 to 11, we'll be joining Clive James in Japan. This is TVS.
The news from ITN. Labour challenges the role of British ships in the Gulf. Security alert in Ulster as UDA man is buried. Liverpool break a record and go 10 points ahead. And at Kempton, Desert Orchid fails to bloom. Good evening. Labour are demanding a government statement on the role of the Royal Navy in the Gulf. Their Foreign Affairs spokesman, Mr. George Robertson, says Britain is being sucked into the Gulf conflict, and he wants to know whether the Navy's rules of engagement have been changed. In the last 2 days, the frigate HMS Scillas offered help to Norwegian and South Korean ships attacked by Iran. And tonight, Scilla is said to be leading a new convoy, including Saudi and Panamanian ships into the Gulf. This report by David Glencorse in London.
Today in the Gulf, the stricken South Korean freighter Hyundai 7 was towed back to port still on fire after being attacked by 3 Iranian gunboats. The rescue by the Royal Navy of crewmen from the freighter is being seen by some as further evidence of Britain allowing itself to become enmeshed in the Gulf conflict. Labour's George Robertson is agreeing that Britain should assist vessels in distress, but he says the Royal Navy is completely unsuited to such a role.
The British Navy are there solely and simply to accompany ships with British flags and are not there to act as Gulf policemen for the whole of the merchant marine in that area. And if that's what they're being expected to do, it's a role that they can't do, and it's a role that should only be done by the United Nations. And it's time the British government called the Russians bluff and decided that we should have a United Nations presence in the Gulf, and it should be quite deliberately under a UN flag.
Tonight, a Foreign Office spokesman said that ministers were now discussing a report of the rescue operation. But it was emphasised that Britain had taken part in what was a humanitarian gesture toward a ship in distress. And the Ministry of Defence is tonight insisting that the rules of engagement have not changed. It was part of international law that a ship respond to another vessel's distress call. The ministry wouldn't comment on reports that the Royal Navy frigate Scilla is back in the Gulf alongside tankers from Saudi Arabia and Panama.
Israel says its troops captured 3 Palestinian guerrillas as they tried to slip into the country wearing Israeli army uniforms. They fought a gun battle after crossing the 200-mile border with Jordan in what's said to be the first clash in the Jordan Valley for 10 years. The Palestine Liberation Front said the raid was intended to show support for Palestinian protests in the Israeli-occupied West Bank and Gaza. 5 U.S. Navy sailors have been injured in the grenade attack in a bar on Barcelona. The building was badly damaged by the explosion. One of the sailors, who were on shore leave, was seriously injured. Witnesses say 2 grenades were thrown into the bar. So far, no one has claimed responsibility. In Northern Ireland, thousands of loyalists turned out for the funeral of John McMichael, the deputy leader of the paramilitary Ulster Defence Association, who was killed by an IRA bomb. Tonight, security forces are on the alert for revenge attacks.
There was a massive police turnout in Lisbon to prevent any paramilitary show of strength. Security forces feared that the funeral of the UDA leader would be marked by an appearance by loyalist paramilitaries who have threatened revenge for this latest killing. Even a uniformed loyalist band was told by police not to join the cortege, and they left by taxi. UDA officials said there would be no paramilitary display, and eventually a lone piper led the funeral procession. "5,000 people filled the streets to mourn John McMichael, who died in his booby-trapped car. Amongst them were Dr. Ian Paisley and Mr. James Molyneux, leaders of the Democratic and official Unionist parties. Andy Tirry, chairman of the UDA and close friend of the murdered man, helped carry the coffin through the crowded streets of a Lisbon housing estate. Policemen lined the route ahead to ensure there was no trouble. At the graveside, there were emotional scenes as the UDA man's wife paid her last respects. Security forces kept a discreet distance, but will remain on alert with the threat of retaliation. Terry Lloyd, ITN, Northern Ireland.
Mr. Gordon Wilson, whose daughter Marie was killed by the IRA bombing at Enniskillen, says he and his family were moved by the Queen's mention of them in her Christmas broadcast. And in a radio interview, Mr. Wilson said he backed the Queen's hopes for reconciliation.
Her words of forgiveness and tolerance through love hopefully will be listened and acted upon by many people, and I would see her message as the only way towards peace in Ireland.
Police investigating the corner shop killings of 2 elderly sisters in Birmingham are looking for a bogus water board official who called on them 9 days before they died.
Detectives hunting for the killer of Edna and Alice Rowley want to interview the bogus water board official who visited their shop on the 14th of December. They believe he could be involved in the killings and at least want the chance to rule him out of their inquiries.
We know that someone using the pretense of being a water board official gained access to the Greswold stores. Edna, it seems, very quickly dispatched him without argument. So anyone else that has had bogus officials, either of a water board or any other deception, again, we'd be very interested to hear from them.
The sisters were cat lovers and in the habit of taking their pet for an evening stroll on a lead. The murder squad want to know if one of them went out on Tuesday night. It would help pin down the time of the murders. Detectives who searched the corner shop the sisters had run for 50 years believe the killer stole money from the cash register and carried their Christmas presents away in a brown leather suitcase. This luggage label was left behind at the scene. Finding the case could lead to the murderer. Police think the killings were premeditated and they're hoping that even other criminals will be sickened by them and come forward to help.
The Soviet news agency TASS says relations between Britain and the Soviet Union are now better than at any time since the Second World War. TASS said a period of animated exchanges has come and Soviet-British trade is developing successfully. The agency says the improvement was underlined at the Brize-Norton meeting between Mrs. Thatcher and the Soviet leader Mr. Gorbachev, and it praised Mrs. Thatcher's positive role over the Soviet-American treaty to scrap intermediate-range nuclear missiles. And now, with the Boxing Day soccer and the rest of today's sport, here's Mark Austin.
Liverpool are tonight 10 points clear at the top of the First Division after a 3-0 victory at Oxford. It's a win that means they're unbeaten in 20 league games this season, a club record. With one major bookmaker, Liverpool are now 8-1 on for the Championship. Extraordinary odds with the season not yet half over.
After a hangover half hour, Liverpool put together a devastating burst. This is their 8th corner in as many minutes, and Oxford were united no more. It wasn't one of Aldridge's classier goals, but the home fans could only look back to a year ago when he was doing the same in an Oxford shirt. These days they're a shadow of the team which won the Milk Cup. Today they had a short, threatening spell early in the second half. The half chances they created, half-heartedly thrown away. Liverpool, though, aren't wasting anything. A break from nowhere left them with not just a spare man, but with Barnes, probably the most accurate player in the league. It was then down to how many the league leaders felt like scoring. McMahon hit the third from way out. It could have been a fluke, but the way Liverpool are playing, anything's possible. There were no more goals, which was nothing to do with Oxford's defence, more Beardsley's misfortune. Peter Staunton, ITN Sport at the Manor Ground.
Brian Clough's Nottingham Forest are emerging as the side that could threaten Liverpool. Today they beat Arsenal 2-0, their first win at Highbury in 22 years, and moved above them into second place.
At Highbury, Arsenal knew they had to play well against Nottingham Forest to stay in second place, and in a generally scrappy first half, they had the best of the play. Niall Quinn, in his first game of the season, had an early chance, just the first of many wasted opportunities by the Gunners. Forest took the lead with a 39th minute goal, Steve Chettle's kick finding Arsenal keeper John Lukic hopelessly off his line. Terry Wilson putting it away. In the second half, the story was much the same. Arsenal wasting good opportunities, their strikers seemingly unable to finish. Their best chance came 7 minutes from time, Steve Chettle handling the ball under pressure from Niall Quinn, but captain Kenny Sansom's penalty hit the bar. 4 minutes later, at the other end of the field, a hapless Lukic brought down Tommy Gaynor. The referee ignored the protests, and Forest captain Stuart Pearce gave Sansom a lesson, making the result safe. So, a Boxing Day bonus for Forest, but bad news for Arsenal, still minus Charlie Nicholas. Manager George Graham says he wants more goals. Today, just one would have been a start. Simon Marks, ITN Sport, Highbury.
Elsewhere, 2 Adrian Heath goals moved the champions up the table into 4th place, but still 13 points behind their Merseyside rivals. Norwich's new signing, Robert Fleck, started repaying his £500,000 move from Glasgow Rangers by scoring the opening goal. They now move off the bottom of the First Division. And in Scotland, Joe Miller's goal, a minute from time, kept Celtic on top of the Premier Division, ahead of Aberdeen on goal difference. There was a big upset in the King George VI steeplechase at Kempton. The favourite Desert Orchid, who's won the hearts of thousands of racegoers, was beaten into second place by Nupsala, an outsider from France. Desert Orchid was in front with 3 fences to go, but then faded.
And Desert Orchid looks beaten. Forgiven Forget back in third place. They come down towards the second last.
The pace had proved too much for the favourite, and when second-placed Forgiven Forget fell at the last, the French challenger romped home by 15 lengths.
Second, but this King George VI round chase, and at the line, Nupsala is the winner. Nupsala the winner.
First, Nupsala, 25-1. Second, Desert Orchid, evens favourite. Third, Golden Friend, 20-1. One of yachting's most colourful events, the Sydney to Hobart race, began today, and there's a good chance of a record time. Strong winds are forecast throughout the 2.5-day event. Tom Evans at ITN reports.
The Sydney seafront was crammed with spectators as nearly 160 yachts set off on the first leg of the 630-mile race to Tasmania. There were so many entries that the race had to be divided into 2 sections for the first time. In the main race, the Australian yacht Sovereign, the largest of its kind in the world, built up an early lead. It's the only race she hasn't won. Last year, she was leading until problems with her sails forced her to retire. There were collisions too as yachts jostled for the best position. But as the fleet headed south, it was Sovereign that set the pace.
And that's the news tonight. Just time to remind you that there'll be a special ITN programme tomorrow when Julia Somerville reviews the highlights of the Royal Year. ITN's The Royal Year is on ITV tomorrow at 2. But now, from all of us here, good night.
Now, the weather forecast this evening and tonight will be cloudy with periods of rain and drizzle and temperatures around 9 degrees Celsius. The rain will continue on and off through tomorrow, becoming heavy at times in the west. Temperatures will rise to a very mild 11 degrees Celsius in the fresh southwesterly winds, and that's the weather.
Tomorrow on TVS, the family festive fun continues. At 7:15, Home to Roost. Henry's plans for a bachelor Christmas go awry.
Isn't it strange how parents of ugly children seem to have so many of them?
At 8:15, it's a Christmas surprise.
Nobody denies.
Cilla Black and Friends with the show that always warms the heart. With family reunions, laughs, practical jokes, and of course, songs. Following a Christmas edition of Watching, it's Latex Laughs at 10 with a Spitting Image special.
Seeing the same old faces on television every Christmas. Well, this year there's something new. The same old faces, but this time they're made out of rubber. Yes, the Spitting Image Christmas special.
Something special for all the family and more. Tomorrow here on TVS.
And next tonight on TVS, the Dame Edna Christmas Experience.
Come on, it'll be good.
No, it won't.
It will.
It won't.
It will.
She'll be there.
Who?
Joyce Oliphant.
Joyce Oliphant? She won't be there.
She will.
She's probably forgotten all about it by now.
She won't. I know she won't.
Look. She won't be there.
Look, I'm not going, okay?
You can drive.
What? Your Cavalier SRI?
Yeah. Okay, let's go. Yeah.
The Cavalier SRI from Vauxhall. Once driven, forever smitten.
Sign on the dotted line for a Scottish Amicable pension, and who knows where it'll take you.
Villa in Spain, we adore you. We waited 20 years for you. Happiness, with the boat that we possess.
Where could a Scottish Amicable pension take you? Just ask any independent financial advisor or ring 01 200 0200 for a pensions pack.
This week, from Monday to Friday in the Daily Telegraph, your knowledge of this year's news could win you one of 5 winter getaway holidays, each day in a different exotic location. All you have to do is work out exactly where these locations are. You'll need the Daily Telegraph every day, and a sound knowledge of the world events of 1987. But if, like us, you keep up with world affairs, that shouldn't be a problem.
Hi, my friend and I are here today to talk about Kestrel Lager. He's the one that can do all that ring pull stuff, but we both know about bite. You see, Kestrel's a lager that's carefully brewed to bring out that certain bite in the taste. What's making you so nervous?
I've never been on TV before.
Kestrel, people who know about bite, buy it.
Feel like dinner?
Scottish salmon for lunch.
Is rather special.
For dinner.
Lovely.
There are so many ways to serve it. And you'll find the king of fish doesn't cost a king's ransom. Fish for compliments with Scottish salmon. Simply delicious.
For nearly 200 years, Sandeman has been among us constantly. Sandeman Port, improving relations since 1790.
At Court's biggest ever winter sale, there are huge reductions in all departments. So save in style at Court's Furnishing Stores and Court's Mammoth Superstores. It's on now.
It's bedtime at the Allders sale with all the famous brand names. Sealy, Silent Night, and Sleep Easy at remarkable sale prices. The Allders sale, if you're looking for a bargain, will give you a wonderful surprise.
This Bank Holiday Monday, see the range of top quality suede, leather and sheepskin coats at the Yeovil Sheepskin Shop. Choose from the largest selection of leather and sheepskin coats, jerkins, slippers and rugs in the south of England. For style, warmth and the latest fashions, a visit to the Yeovil Sheepskin Shop this Bank Holiday Monday is a must.
Tonight, Clive James continues his ever-widening exploration of Japan.
I was very conscious of being out of condition compared to the average Japanese. Most of them haven't got an ounce of fat on them. Everyone has seen the Japanese sumo wrestlers fight. Very few people have seen them eat. The eating is even more frightening than the fighting.
Getting buried in his work, the second part of Clive James in Japan. Tonight at 10:50 on TVS.
And then, once we're back from Japan, we'll be joining Barbara Dixon, one of the most popular and distinctive female singers, at the Royal Albert Hall. That's at 11:45. But now something certainly not to be missed. The Dame Edna Christmas Experience.
Wherever the eyes of the world are focused, whenever history is in the making, she is there, organising events, guiding those new to the limelight, bringing openness and goodwill to all men. In the corridors of power, she sets the pace with a touch of seasonal colour, jetting around the world to bring a message of comfort to the bewildered. Ever ready to share herself with her audience, she puts the glad back into glad tidings and proves that niceness is next to holiness. Interrupting her Christmas schedule to be with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Dame Edna Everage.
It's me. Not a gorgeous Christmassy look-alike.
Christmas holiday Monday, there's the premiere of No Sex Please, We're British.
Definitely yours, Brian, definitely. It's your new thingamajigs for your scout troop.
Thingamajigs?
Yes, they rub them together in the woods.
Do you know something, Brian? You've got nice hands. They belong on a woman.
What? Don't be rude now, come on. They're films.
Films?
One awful moment, I thought they were... Oh, my God, they're blue films.
Oh, no.
The premiere of the smash hit farce, No Sex Please, We're British. Christmas holiday Monday at 8 on TVS.
In a moment, we'll be watching Clive James being flattened by a 35-stone sumo wrestler and simmering gently in a boiling sulphur bath.
When we started renting televisions nearly 30 years ago, everyone thought they were magic. When we introduced colour, everyone was wide-eyed. And we soon became one of the biggest names in TV rental, Granada. Today, we're expert at bringing the latest technology into your home, whether you rent or buy. We have FST screens with stereo sound, videos with digital picture-in-picture, and LCD remote control, all delivered with that personal touch. Just walk into any of our 600 shops, and you'll see why Granada is the one to watch.
Martini extra dry. Have it with or without. With friends, with pleasure. Martini extra dry. It's there to be discovered.
Can Mystic Meg really foretell what 88 has in store for you? Don't miss her astrology special in the News of the World tomorrow.
I will reveal your 12 dates with destiny and help you find your 5 keys to personal happiness. And did you know you have 2 birth signs? I will trace both on your zodiac chart.
Plus a free Maria Whittaker calendar and pay Spot the difference for £10,000 cash, all in Sunday magazine.
More colour, more pages, more news on the world.
One cruise line will fly you free to the Caribbean from your local airport. There you cruise around to exotic islands and will fly you home again free. Pick up the Royal Caribbean Cruise brochure from your travel agent and fly free to paradise.
Don't miss the Great Mill's craziest £5 million sale. Hundreds of items at really crazy prices. Great Mill sale starts 9 a.m. December 28th. Be crazy. Be there.
A special festive message from Spitting
Tired of
Image.
seeing the same old faces on television every Christmas? Well, this year there's something new. The same old faces, but this time they're made out of rubber. Yes, the Spitting Image Christmas special, 10 o'clock, December the 27th. Miss it. Don't miss it.
In November, Barbara Dickson, one of the most popular and distinctive female singers, gave a concert in the Royal Albert Hall in London, in which, of course, she sang many of her best-known songs. And tonight, we have an opportunity to enjoy that concert. Barbara Dickson at the Royal Albert Hall starts at 11:45. Now come with us to Japan in the company of Clive James.
I had come to Japan to find out how the Japanese relax from working so hard. and I'd already found out that they work very hard at relaxation. After a week of relaxing along with them, I was exhausted. I'd been on a Japanese game show and survived, but only just. A robot had made me a cup of tea. The subway system had made me a nervous wreck. I had spent a rousing evening in a geisha house, and I had flailed all night on a futon. And so far, I'd not even left Tokyo. It was time to explore Japan further, beginning with Tokyo Station, from which the bullet train would take me to the ancient capital of Kyoto, my jumping-off point for Kyushu, the next island. But first I...